All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Green Sports Alliance webinar. Today, we're welcomed by a lot of our collegiate members. We're going to be talking about how to collaborate between college athletics, sustainability, and facilities. You can scan the QR code to find all of our other webinars too if you're interested in other topics that we've discussed. A little housekeeping items first. I know we've probably talked about this a million times at this point, but our upcoming summit is from May 5th to the 7th. 7th, we will be in Cleveland, Ohio. You only have 2 weeks left for supporter pricing. It's about a 15% discount if you don't already get discounts with your membership. And our partner hotel, the Westin, is nearly 80% full. So if you want to stay with the large sum of the group that's there, you can go to our website. There's the booking link to book the Westin right now. And lastly, we have something new happening. They're called the poster presentations. We invite anyone from collegiate sport programs, students, athletes, or faculty to be able to present on some of their research, some of their sustainability initiatives, some case studies that you might want to show. This is going to happen at Progressive Field on May 5th. It's at our annual networking reception. So if y'all are interested in participating in that, it's a good chance to put your hard work in front of a lot of the folks in this industry. You can email Mika. His contact info is on the side right here. I can also put it in the chat. You can also email me. I'll put my email in the chat as well. Speaking of the chat, as participants, you can ask questions in the chat and we'll be sure to get to them at the end. Or if our panelists have time to answer them on the call, they are more than welcome to. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce our panelists. We have Solana from the University of Maryland. Shanice can't join us today, but Solana is going to represent her to the best of her abilities. And we have Meredith and Bob from NC State, as well as Wyatt from the University of Tennessee. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I'm going to pass it to Solana to take over.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you to everyone for attending and joining, and thank you to the Green Sports Alliance for having me. I'm super excited to speak today and share some of the insights that I have with you all. So, as Katie said, my name is Solana Page. I use she, her pronouns, and I work as a sustainability outreach and communications associate at the University of Maryland. And I will be speaking for Shanice Abrams. She is the um, facilities director for outreach for events and operations of the facilities. And today I will be sharing about how to build a connection between an Office of Sustainability and the athletics department. All right, let's see. So I will be answering the main questions of how to get started and how to form the connection. I'll be going through the successful process that I took in hopes that it can resonate with some of you all. So getting started, I want to talk about our university structure. So athletics and the Office of Sustainability are housed in two different divisions. OS is in the Division of Administration, and then the athletics department is in the Office of the President. These divisions have different goals in mind, and so I was still able to help form a successful partnership between the two while keeping that in mind. So, with that being said, when I started here in the Office of Sustainability, I started at a quiet time in the semester, and so I was able to get my footing in my position and then also take on a side project. And with that being said, as a student at the university, when I was a student, I was very into athletics and attending the different events. And it was during these games that I recognized a little gap in sustainability, within our athletics. And so I joining the Office of Sustainability and having the time to work on a side project, I decided to take on athletics. Sorry, I want to ask really quickly, is my screen going in and out for you guys as well, or is it good? Okay, perfect. Alrighty, so with that being said, I was able to take the time and look into 40 different universities and colleges and research different availabilities that they had on their website of different work they were doing for green sports and green athletics. And so, with that being said, out of the 40 institutions, I looked between those to see which schools had opportunities that I wanted to implement at the University of Maryland. I then met with 11 of those schools, whether it be UMiami, Duke, Ohio State University, in all within the Big Ten, SEC, and ACC to learn more. And so, with that, over the course of 6 months of research, networking with different universities, and continuing my other duties within my job description, I felt ready to approach Maryland Athletics. And going into this, with beginning the connection, I really like to touch on the office support that I got. My director, Scott Lupin, and then the sustainability manager, Sally DeLeon, and all the others on my team were very helpful in helping align my visions with approaching athletics. They were all very supportive, and without them, I wouldn't be able to have approached athletics the way I did. I'd also like to highlight the previous relationship that we've had. My director, Scott, and my manager, Sally, both have had a previous relationship with athletics, and that really helped in easing into a kind of a catch-up meeting or catch-up conversation. They thankfully were able to approach athletics and, as I mentioned, get just an initial meeting on board. From there, it was where I learned that facilities, operations, and events were open and ready for something new. And I'll touch on that in the next slide when representing Shanice. And from this meeting, it went successfully and it allowed me to build a 3-year strategic plan that I then presented to athletics and which they successfully accepted and began putting into action. The plan consisted of things like joining the Green Sports Alliance, which is why I'm here talking to you guys today, as well as getting a sustainability website built to showcase the different work that facilities is doing, as well as the other sustainability initiatives down the line. I'm currently working on getting composting into our basketball arena Xfinity Center, as well as implementing an equipment recycling program. I have been able to work with a local nonprofit called Leveling the Playing Field. They take in gently used or new equipment and then distribute it back into communities of need in the DMV. And so I'm really hoping to build this partnership and continue to ingrain sustainability into our practices here in athletics. So, from the facilities, operation, and event side of things, I'll be speaking for Shanice, so I will do the best that to the best of my ability. So here we'll be answering the main question of why facilities and why approach this group to initiate progress. So, most of the other schools that I researched actually had built a partnership between their Office of Sustainability and their athletics department. That seemed to be the natural flow that schools were taking. And keeping in mind that the buildings that our facilities crew and athletics have been working on have long been structured with sustainability in mind. So from there, I went to the question of how facilities can help. They have done an amazing job with resource sharing, access granting, and departmental connections. And by working with these individuals in our facilities, I've been able to connect with other individuals in the department, whether it be the strategic communications and content development crew who helped with the sustainability website, or the equipment managers when going about the pilot for equipment recycling. The FOE office, facilities, operations, and events is committed to helping OS by continuing to implement energy and water efficiency in the venues, piloting waste reduction strategies during large athletic events, and you'll hear about that a little more from NC State and Tennessee, and also collecting data that helps measure impact. So athletics, as we know, provides a wonderful platform for information sharing, being that they're able to engage tens of thousands of fans on game day. And that's been a great help with allowing sustainability messaging to reach such a broad audience. So now I'll be touching on why facilities was ready for something new. Upon speaking with facilities, they came to the conclusion that they were ready for more changes. Larger athletics accepted a new athletic director, and this helped spark room for consistent change within the office. Maryland Athletics had already been modernizing its venues and its infrastructure to help reduce environmental impact. And so these improvements just meant that the physical infrastructure was already aligned with sustainability goals, helping make it easier to adopt these new practices. And I'd like to touch on our current function and then also looking into the future. So currently, I, Solana, in the Office of Sustainability, have taken the lead on some of these projects, and I'm interested in implementing more within athletics due to their support. And over time, as sustainability becomes more ingrained in athletics, there will be a transition in athletics leading the sustainability initiative. So, with all this being said, I know I've thrown a lot of information at you guys. When trying to go about building this partnership, a tip that I've taken from Kelly Wellman at Texas A&M upon meeting with her and watching other webinars she's participated in, my tip to everyone is just to be persistent. I've been persistent throughout the process with reaching out to athletics, trying to lead this initiative, and also just staying true to what I would like to do here in the office as well as athletics. So being persistent, finding who you can talk to and getting support from your team, those have all been very big in helping this sustainability initiative be positive. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it off to Meredith and Bob at NC State.
Great.
We're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Alana. Thank you so much. And thank you to the Green Sports Alliance. I'm Bob Erickson with NC State University and really happy to be here talking about sustainability. And just a little bit, I wanted to touch a little bit on history. Back in 2004, I just feel it's appropriate to recognize some of the groundwork that had been done ahead of a lot of the involvement that I've had there. In 2014, they had the Zero Waste Wolfpack initiative out at Carter Finley Stadium, our home football stadium. And as well as in 2015, that's really when things started to really speed up and really gain some momentum in our athletic department. In 2015, as an example, all our athletic department buildings at that time really had kind of a hodgepodge of landfill waste containers. There was very little recycling in there. And working with waste reduction and recycling, at that time, Lonnie St. Hill was instrumental in working with us in athletics to get onto our campus standard with our recycling and landfill and things of that nature. So really, I really attribute success in the athletic department really comes from our leadership. I want to talk a little bit about leadership that really empowers us to be able to initiate a lot of these things. So really at NC State University, it starts with our chancellors, Chancellor Woodson, and now Chancellor Howell. It just are really behind us 100% with that and have initiatives for waste reduction and recycling, the sustainability office. And so through that leadership, of course, we have our director of athletics, Boo Corrigan, as well. And he has just done a great job, and really sustainability is very, very important. He's let us know it's important to our department. And the slide that you see up on the screen right now is actually our athletic director, Boo Corrigan, and then in the foreground is our deputy AD, Todd Stansberry. And that was a project we had. We had a watershed area adjacent to our football facilities with kudzu. And those of you who are familiar with kudzu, it's a noxious weed and encroaches onto our facility, onto the native landscape, gets in the watershed. And we partnered with a local company called Triangle Goatscape. And I can say right from the beginning of that, our athletic director, Boo, was very, very enthusiastic about that. And that type of leadership helps empower our team in facilities, operations, capital projects, empowers us because of his leadership. So you have that leadership from the chancellor to our athletic director. But I think a key component of leadership that we really work on in our athletic department is leadership from within. We really try to cultivate leadership at the operational level. My boss, Brad Brown, has set up a leadership council within our operational level, my colleagues at that level. So our stadium managers, our arena managers, those folks are empowered and taught about leadership, and ultimately, those people are directly responsible at times for the relationships. So the relationships that we have, yeah, go ahead and pop that forward. You know, the relationships that athletics has, those operational leaders really are at the tip of the spear, if you will, interfacing with our industry partners. An example would be our concession partner, Aramark, as well as our during event housekeeping and post-event cleaning in ABS and Senplex. Those are the companies we work with and our industry partners there. And then, of course, I almost liken it to a triangle. You have athletics, you have our industry partners, and then waste reduction and the Office of Sustainability within NC State University. Without that synergy of all these groups, the things that we have achieved would not be possible, because it really takes all those groups, as well as our operational leaders at our stadiums and arenas and fields, and we all work together like that. And so, Meredith, you want to just jump in there?
Yeah, of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Meredith. I work for NC State's Waste Reduction and Recycling Office, and part of my position there is to be the program manager for Zero Waste Wolfpack. So I work closely with Bob, and as he was saying, if I didn't have that sustainability support from leadership, none of this would be possible. And from athletics point of view, like, Bob will act as that person who sets expectations within those industry partners and makes sure that they know that this is important to us. So all of that is super, super important. I got into this position in 2024. And so that 2024 football season, I really just observed and benchmarked kind of what was happening at the stadium. Some other implementations, we sourced TS Designs, a B Corp certified company, t-shirts for the volunteers. We created sorting lanyards for the volunteers, piloted sorting stations at Town Bank Center and at Gate 7, two of our roll-off centers. And to kind of get the volunteers, a lot of that came from communicating with the sustainability office and with our campus department partners as well. So we recruited volunteers, and we recruited a lot of them. So if you want more information about that specifically, feel free to reach out. But I'm just kind of going to walk through our 2024 strategy as well as our 2025 strategy to just share best practices with you all. So continuing on with the 2024 strategy, we piloted 2 post-game Sunday sorts. And a lot of this I gleaned from, my past position with Live Nation. So brought some best practices into this position. And additionally, we added front of house plastic film collections, and we also put paper towel composting in all of the bathrooms. And we partnered with the Great Raleigh Cleanup, which is a nonprofit here in Raleigh, to divert aluminum from the tailgate lots. So most of our efforts were focused on inside the stadium, where we could somewhat control the waste. We haven't quite dove into the tailgate lots quite yet. But basically from 2024 to 2025, we kept everything going. We just ramped it up even more. We set a goal of diverting 60% of waste from inside the stadium during game days. And we used that whenever we were starting conversations about how we were going to improve into this next season. So that was communication is a huge part of it. So communicating that goal with all of your partnerships. And then from the operations side, we updated the third-party cleaning contract to ABS, as Bob was saying earlier. And that was huge. Basically, that Bob handed me the contract and was like, you can edit the language however you please, which was awesome. So we added in that not only during the post-game bowl sort should they be separating recycling, but they should also separate compost. So that was really big, also posed some challenges, but was really big in helping us increase our diversion. We used those educational lanyards with the cleaning company as a sort of guide, so they knew how to sort items. And then we increased our post-game Sunday sorts to 4, and we added these new red carts here on the right to collect cardboard and kind of keep everything together on the concourse. And then for Aramark, we added 11 new kitchen compost bins and signage into the concession stands that create a lot of food waste. Added 38 aluminum caps only, bins, as you can see at the bottom of the slide. And then for Town Bank Center, basically that is our VIP suites, as well as what do you call them? Like suites and
It's there's 42 luxury suites in our Town Bank Center, as well as a club level area as well that has a number of food stations within there. And
yeah, so Town Bank Center was really great because Aramark operated out of it and made sure to source all compostable items in there. They did really well at that. And so at Town Bank Center and kind of that side of the stadium, we improved compost cart weight tracking. We actually used University of Tennessee, which you'll hear from Wyatt in a little bit, as a case study to recover leftover catering food. So best practice sharing was really key for that initiative. And we collected over 5,000 pounds of leftover catering food and sent that out to local food rescue organizations here in Raleigh.
I had one thing
Yeah, of
here.
course.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention too, I think one of the key components of this for success is to take those industry partners, our folks, as well as the sustainability office, waste reduction, Meredith's team, and we always have preseason meetings right before whatever the season may be, whether it be baseball. We had one, this is the first time we've composted at baseball. It's never been done there before. And of course, during the football season, we make sure that everyone is on the same page before that time. And I think that's been very helpful to have those meetings. One other thing I did want to mention, and this picture illustrates it, and I saw this really ramp up the success at our football stadium, is the fact that Meredith is actually there every single game. She's actively involved out in the crowd and the fans and on our concourse. And I just think having that hands-on leadership like that, no matter what area you are, that's kind of instrumental in making sure that things are carried out as they're supposed to be. So I give Meredith a lot of credit for being there on game day and following through with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to be there to see what's going on and to lead and make sure that everything is moving forward as you see fit. But yeah, thank you, Bob. That is super important. So for Aramark, we also did a lot of education this season that we did not do last season. So really just improved the trust and the relationship, which all of this is relationship building, as Bob had mentioned earlier. Presented best practices at their preseason orientation. I had a sustainable Wolfpack intern deliver a training at to the Town Bank Center staff. We created a one-page SOP for concessions teams, and that was at all of the concession stands. And then we would additionally reinforce education before every game. So we went around, typically in stadiums, they've got nonprofits working out of the concession stands. So we went around and would talk to the differing staff every time, just to make sure they knew about the program, knew what to do with their waste, and just were educated on the program. Another really big thing that we did this season was partner with athletics marketing team, to educate the fans, right? A lot of the fans didn't know what was going on. And so athletics helped, or marketing helped us do that. So we had like a little graphic, go out in the know before you go email about sustainability, how they could help kind of reach our diversion goal. There was a similar graphic for the video board. We did a social media collaboration reel with our mascots that reached about 11,000, 12,000 people. And then our Sustainable Wolfpack intern organized a halftime game at the sustainability game to engage students. So a lot happened with marketing. In our results, we increased the diversion from 2024 to 2025, 20%. And that would be the inside game day diversion rate, just to clarify. And you can see here on the bar graph that we've diverted a lot more waste from 2023 to 2025. So those are kind of our results, and using those results as well as building those partnerships, we've been able to scale this program at Raleigh Relays, most recently at baseball at Doak Field, and we've implemented permanent composting infrastructure at Doak Field, which has been super awesome to be a part of. And Bob has obviously like helped make that happen, help get us all together in the same room so that we're aligned on kind of expectations and goals moving forward, which really helps to build momentum. And we're partnering again with the cleaning team, we're partnering with concessions, we're partnering with marketing to make sure that everyone is aligned on the new initiative. And I would just say key takeaways from that, just find your sustainability supporters. And when I say supporters, like your Bob, find your Bob. Also find student interns if you have access to student interns that like truly care about the initiative. This is our team over here, and I would not be able to make any of this happen without them. They're such an amazing team that just show up for each other. And so that is a really important part of it. Don't be afraid to ask. I ask Bob questions all the time. And you just got to continue that check-in with them, with all your partners as often as you can. Again, use other universities as case studies to get buy-in. Is a good best practice. Communicate your results and impact data. We have a couple of impact reports I will link in the chat. And there's also a collegiate sports sustainability conference coming up at the University of Tennessee, July 27th to the 29th. I will also throw that in the chat. And that's actually where I met Wyatt. We bonded over shooting 3-pointers at the Cameron Indoor. And that's where he actually presented that food recovery data. And that's kind of where that idea came from of like, oh, I really want to help increase the donations of catering food. So without further ado, I will go ahead and pass it on to Wyatt.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me, Green Sports Alliance. Really appreciate the opportunity to speak here. Great job to Meredith, Bob, and Solana. You guys were great. Hoping I can follow up and finish this out here strong. As you may have heard, my name is Wyatt Miner. I'm with the University of Tennessee at the Office of Sustainability. Our other panelists here today have talked to you about getting that partnership, getting that conversation rolling. And I'm here to talk to you about a success story we had and how we executed, how we kind of rounded out this whole process. So we'll get into it. The first thing I want you guys to know is you have to understand your challenge. So the challenge that we had, to put it into specific words, was we realized that single stream recycling was not working in Neyland Stadium. Oftentimes it was used as a cover up for recycling, was mishandled by the people who not only worked for our team, but also in the stadium, the staff, the contractors. It was just not a very good situation. And ultimately, we felt like we were misleading people with the statistics we were putting out. So what we decided to do was do this the right way. So we decided that we were going to separate our cans and our plastics mainly in our stadium, as those were the two prevailing waste streams that we had. But first, I want to tell you guys some background information here. If you didn't know, Neyland Stadium has a capacity of 100,000+ people. On some lists I've seen, we're regarded as the eighth biggest stadium in the world. So as you could imagine, when a football game starts and the chaos ensues and all the alcohol starts flowing, there becomes incredibly rapid generations of waste. So incredibly rapid to the point that we were having to swap out compactors at halftime just to mitigate the amount of waste that was going through the stadium. And even though that was logistically challenging, with sometimes our fans leaving at halftime depending on the scores, and oftentimes going through narrow city streets to drop off these containers and get around people, it was very challenging. But we did understand that if we were to increase the recycling numbers and if we were to tackle this issue at its core, that hopefully that landfill waste stream would not be as burdened. The final piece we had in this whole thing of understanding your challenge here is keeping the infrastructure simple, visible, and durable. Oftentimes, in the past 10 or so years of waste in Neyland Stadium, it was none of that. It was confusing and it definitely wasn't visible. So yeah, let's move on to the next one here. This is going to be a little bit of a breakdown here. So on the 2024 season, yeah, 2024 season, the bins you see at the top there, that was our recycling. We had bins that looked pretty similar to NC State's, only they were orange, and they didn't have a whole lot of communication and definitely didn't have as many of the materials that you see listed on theirs. But we had, a buy-in from our facilities folk between facilities and Office of Sustainability. So we went with those bins. As you can see, the only kind of advertisement you see for material or the stream is there on the lid. That nice hot stamped Power T on the side does look really nice, I have to say so. Maybe a little biased in saying that, but it definitely takes up some of that space we'd use to advertise what should go in that bin. So we partnered with one of our business groups called the Heath Integrated Business Engineering Program, and we had gotten also at the same time an investment, a partnership from athletics. So if you look beneath those bins, you see the arrow pointing down into the picture. That gray cabinet looking bin, that is actually what is in Neyland Stadium. It's actually what's inside of our baseball stadium currently. And what we found was this was more simple, it was more durable and more visible than the prior things. And just to add to the visibility of it, our HIBEP group developed the banner you see hanging there. This was prototyped in this photo, but that also helped bring attention to the waste stations and help direct people and reduce confusion. So the main thing I wanted to say in this and finding the right solution is that you have to really look at your stadium, see how the stadium behaves, see how people interact with the waste, and ultimately try to keep an eye on what kind of games draw what kind of crowd and also departure times. With SEC games, we'd see people staying for the whole game, but oftentimes for games like New Mexico State, we'd see them leaving at halftime, and that drastically impacts the way that your stadium will interact with the space and handle their waste. But obviously, based on the top versus the bottom, I feel like the bottom option gives you more visibility, more options for clearer sorting, and of course, like I was saying, the signage in these high traffic areas really help with that visibility. Those bins may be hard to tell right now or based on this picture, but they're about like 4.5 to 5 feet tall, I think. So when you get a stadium of 100,000 people walking around, that can be kind of hard. So having that vertical sign really helps drive people and drive behavior. So impact. Of course, like I was saying, this led to a better separation of recyclable materials. And it's a model we've always wanted to replicate on campus. So in the photos to the right here, that photo on the bottom is actually a waste station we have in our facilities. We are working on getting unified materials to go in those shadow boxes. but ultimately we felt like the shadow boxes show people what should go in that waste stream way better than a 2D image ever could. So we found this to be very successful in facilities. We're now rolling it out to other places on campus. But the point I wanted to make is that for our athletic space specifically, there was a greatly improved efficiency for post-game cleanup and sorting. Our building services staff who handled the waste reported having to haul down trash less often. At the end of the game, we found there to be more success in finding the right slot for these recyclables. And we also saw people stop and kind of think about their decisions and where they were putting their items. In the same way that a toddler wouldn't try to put a circle peg into a square hole, I think our fans were doing that even in inebriated states. So that was a really awesome result to see. And ultimately, it definitely communicates clear expectations for fans, staff, and hopefully students when this rolls out campus wide. And this system is also able to evolve as the program grows. You may not seem like it, but each one of these waste streams, these entry points for the waste, they have tabs on the underneath side. You can push the tabs back. You can swap out, say, let's say you wanted to get rid of your plastic bottles and your paper on that one on the bottom. You could remove those tabs and then make it compost and put technically 50% of that bin's receptacle could be compost. So as we change this campus, as we move forward and push the culture forward and try to initiate change, this can also evolve with us. So that's a really awesome future-proof solution that we found. And if y'all are interested in the brand, that is Clean River. They're a very awesome company, and we'll work with you to customize a bin however you need. So lessons for other universities. Every venue has different infrastructure and operational needs. As you can see in these photos to the left here, these are all photos from game days of different kinds. 3 of them being football, 1 of them being our only zero waste softball season. We had food recovery for football and a lot of it, but we don't really see food recovery being a model we replicate at other stadiums on campus because there's not really a need for it. The operational formulas at baseball, at softball, at soccer, they all work really well and serve the population well and the fan base well. But in football, there tends to be a bit of an over preparation, so we're there to pick up the rest of it. Start with collaboration between sustainability and facilities teams. That is definitely where we started. Whenever we had the agreement, we were on the same page here on this side of the field. We did take it to athletics, and they were like, we are looking for ways to trim the cost on waste. We know that recycling is an opportunity, and we just want to do this a piece at a time. You guys present us with options. We'll tell you yes or no, and we can go from there. So we found that to be really great. It allowed us to change Neyland into something that was more intuitive for fans. Something that fans in Neyland probably had never had. Simple recycling or simpler recycling, more clarity, more conversation around these things than there ever has been in this space. And the last piece I want to leave you guys with is that you should definitely treat these stadiums as testing grounds for larger campus sustainability initiatives. Again, like I was saying, we had a goal of getting Neyland to be cans and plastic separated in that waste stream, higher efficiency in recycling, doing things the right way. And ultimately, this season, I believe we finished up with a 61% diversion rate. So very happy to communicate that and very, very thankful. Yeah, I believe that's all I have. So I guess it'll be time for questions.
Thanks, everyone. I love how each of you had advice for the people, the attendees in this webinar. That was really sweet. I feel like a lot of our webinars, they kind of forget that piece. So I hope everyone here took some of the advice. We pretty much answered the questions that were in the chat, but for food for thought, there's a poll that I'm gonna put up right now, and I'm gonna have y'all answer it. So I'm gonna launch it. I'll say it out loud. So the question is, what do you think is the best thing we can do as individuals to help the planet? The choices are compost, support organizations that have strong sustainability practices, use public transportation instead of a car, reduce spending on high impact industries like fast fashion, air travel, and so on, or turn off your lights. Do the panelists, do y'all have any input on this? Did you vote? Wyatt, Solana, Meredith, Bob?
I don't think we can vote as panelists.
Oh, you can't. Well, you can say your vote out loud.
I mean, yeah, it's multiple. I would select multiple, but the best thing, either reduce spending on high impact
That would be my
industries,
choice.
yeah, or more on the positive side, like support organizations that have strong sustainability practices. Either of those, probably.
Yeah, yeah, it looks like those two options are about tied right now. Nobody chose turn off your lights, although that is important. It's not the correct answer. Um, yeah, so I did a quick Google search before this, and actually the number one, the category of these was influence. So it's kind of what everyone on this call is doing right now. You're influencing other people. I think all of us in this industry know that it really just takes a very small conversation to plant the seeds, if you will, into people's heads on what we can do or some behavior changes to help our planet. But the correct answer here is support organizations that have strong sustainability practices. Reduce spend on high impact was the close second, according to Google. But yeah, it seems like everyone on this call had some sort of partnership uh, input, and that's kind of exactly what we need to keep doing is research the places that you're buying from, research the companies that you're doing business with. If they have sustainability in their mission, we're more likely to get the things done that we're really trying to do here. Does anyone have any input on that? Oh, share results. So now can you guys see it? Okay.
I do
All
see,
right.
I see a couple questions. I don't know if you can
Mhm.
see that on your end, Katie.
Oh yeah. Um, Go ahead. You can say them live.
Okay, one of them was for Wyatt. Did you have any issues with the landfill side of the bins filling up too quickly with the difference in volume with the new bins?
That's a great question. Between all three of those containers, I believe we had about 150 gallons worth of space to retain materials. So it was about 50 gallons per waste stream. I will say, just from an anecdotal experience, I felt like the prior football season, there were people constantly running from the upper concourses down to the dock to dispose of the materials, and it felt a lot more calm this year. I felt like the people who were managing the waste or managing the landfill portion of our bins had a little more time to stop and chat and breathe a little bit. I can't say I have any data directly supporting that, but I did notice a substantial difference in like the candor and the attitude that people had towards the volume of waste.
Let's see. In terms of game day, what is the ideal number of volunteers?
I can speak and say that definitively for UT, we could probably have 50 volunteers and it not be enough. Um, I know that NC State's in a similar situation with, but I feel like I've always said that NC State has such a greater pull with their zero waste wolf pack. Like I've always been such a big fan of your guys' brand and how you draw people to volunteer with you guys. Um, I hate to sound pessimistic, but as a volunteer, we kind of have a hard time getting volunteers at our school. Um, I would say the ideal number for us would probably be somewhere between 70 and 80 people, but that's a very
Wow.
unrealistic thing. With a stadium that has 100,000 people in it, I feel like you could never have enough people. We typically get away with we typically have 30 on any given game day between staff and volunteers, and even that's a bit of a pinch. But I'll leave some space for everyone else to talk about that.
Meredith, do you incentivize your volunteers at all?
Yes, so we actually this was all created way before I got here, but there's a incentive for student organizations if a student organization brings 10 or more volunteers, they get paid $200. So I'll go to any like student org gathering and just walk around and be like, do y'all need money? Do y'all need money? And like tell them that they can volunteer with us to get some funds for their group. And I would say ours is probably anywhere. I mean, the more the merrier. I agree with Wyatt, but 30 to 50 is typically a good range for us.
Yeah, and I know a lot of the issues are that there's not a lot of budget in sustainability budgets. So NC State, you guys are lucky that you have budget to do that. There are other creative ways to incentivize students. Like a lot of them have never been on the field, or maybe want to meet the players or something like that. So there are other creative ways that you can incentivize volunteers. I know CU Boulder has a really good sorting program for students. Happy to share some info on that if anyone is interested. Solana, do you have any input?
Yeah, so we don't directly have any volunteers yet. That's something in our strategic plan that I'm looking forward to doing, getting student volunteers, interns, things of that nature. And the one volunteer program we do have for athletic events is allowing students to work in the concession stands to get money for their clubs. So similar to something Meredith said, it allows these student groups to get the experience at a game day, but then also get money for their student groups.
Nice. Yeah, having a job is always nice.
We have some questions and answers in the question and answer feature. I think Bob would be good to answer them. One of them are athletes engaging with you? Is NIL a factor at this point?
I would say from the athletes standpoint, other than interns that we run continuously in athletics, the answer to that is no. But in terms of NIL, I would see that it would have a negative effect on some of the initiatives, because it's really putting a pinch on budgets, not just in our athletic department, but all across the country. So thus, if you're having to come up with more money because of that, it would logically say there's probably less money for some of those initiatives. So I would think NIL would have a negative effect on that. And then what was the other question there?
Are bins at athletics facilities matching what is on campus?
The answer to that is, like I mentioned back in like 2015, all our athletic department buildings from that point forward went on what is considered a campus standard for all our buildings. So inside the buildings, yes, there's variation across campus with some, whether you're at our Tally Student Center, or you do see variation around campus, and that's true with us as well.
Yeah, I think the ultimate dream would be if all of the US or all of the world could have similar bin colors, at least, would be very helpful.
Yeah, it looks like Solana might want to answer that one too.
Yeah, we have different bins across our different facilities, similar to what others have said. Working in our arena, specifically with trying to get the composting in, we actually have bins from Res Life that fit with what could go into the arena. So things are a little mismatched around campus, but with the same three priorities of landfill, recycle, and compost. I see there's a
Solana,
question.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. I was gonna say, I see a question about the rainwater. I personally don't have any experience with rainwater harvesting or programs. However, I will say to try again. It says that, you did it back in 2000, or someone did it back in 2008. I think one thing that I learned from my informational interviews with the universities, I met with Amherst College, and with them being a smaller school, they were able to try out these really fun and unique programs. And so I think that taking your school size to your advantage will be helpful in that. But unfortunately, I don't have rainwater experience, but I just say to be persistent and to try again.
Do you guys have rainwater experience? No. I know there's a lot of folks in the professional sports industry that have storm rainwater management systems. Um, I mean, the infamous one is Climate Pledge Arena and their roof. They have the runoff roof that they uh, used from the previous building. And then I know Mercedes-Benz Stadiums has some stormwater management systems. If you want to look it up, or if you connect with me, I can help you find some information on maybe how to pitch it to your leadership.
One exciting thing that we do here at NC State with waste reduction and recycling is that the compost from our different venues goes to a composting site out at our university field labs. And it's coming full circle now because now we can utilize and do utilize that compost, that fertilizer, in our athletic landscape beds and things like that. So I just think that's kind of neat, that full circle moment where it leaves that stadium, ends up out there, and then we end up utilizing it in landscape beds on campus. I think that's a really neat thing that's happening here.
Yes, the circularity stories are always really nice. Do you have something, Wyatt?
Sorry, I was having some issues there, getting myself to be unmuted. Rainwater, not necessarily. We do capture rainwater over at our compost facility. We have our own compost facility, and we mainly use that for operational needs. I do think there's an opportunity to do that. Tennessee, or Eastern Tennessee specifically, does tend to get large amounts of rain at one time, followed by periods of large amounts of no rain. But no, not any rainwater specifically. But I will go ahead and answer that question from Michael. Volunteers as waste sorters or volunteers to help fan sort? A little bit of both. So we also do our own waste processing at UT. We collect all the materials from the game. We'll bring it back to our warehouse for processing. So we have them help fans when they can, but mainly as waste sorters, things that have made it into the wrong stream and they need to be reassigned to the proper recycling stream. Oftentimes, it'll just be grouped up with some staff members who have keys for our bins, and we'll go around and we will sort that out of our landfill bin and into the recyclable streams. And typically, what we see from that is when a bin is full from this, once it is sorted and picked through, it does tend to decrease by 50% or more in volume. So it does take a lot of the impact off of the landfill portion of our bin.
There was a
There is a question. Go ahead.
I was just going to say there's a question there, and actually I was going to ask a similar question because we're very interested in, or the question is about, have any of you successfully tried material elimination strategies, for example, no plastic? And I'm just very curious about that. Meredith and I have talked about it for years about, hey, utilizing like aluminum cups instead of plastic cups in there. And like, I was going to ask the group, does anyone have any experience utilizing, aluminum cups and things like that? Because I would like to see that reduce the amount of that single-use plastics in there.
I will say we are trying to do that at UT, but we have reached out to Coca-Cola specifically, and they can't match the demand for that much aluminum when you think about the capacity of the stadium. So we are trying very hard. We've seen Dasani bottles become aluminum. We've seen Coke bottles in the same way, but just not found someone that can match that demand yet.
Yeah, I'd be happy to answer as well. We're a Pepsi school, and we recently discovered that they have compostable cups. The normal paper cups with the linings, they have to go in the landfill, but they do have a compostable cup, so that's something that I'd like to look into implementing. However, of course, I do believe that aluminum is the better solution long term when it comes to recyclability. And then in terms of removing certain materials from the larger waste stream, in our Xfinity Arena, we're currently just recycling cardboard because we've had a lot of contamination in our bins. However, with looking to get the compost in, also looking to refurbish our recycling program. And so I think that another helpful thing after our football games, we do a post-game sort. So we actually have a company come in and they sort through all the different waste bags, which is a great effort on their part that can help our diversion rate. So those are kind of some of the things we do in the background, but I do agree that getting aluminum is the best choice. And I want to say when I attended the Green Sports Alliance summit last year virtually, but I do believe that they have a couple of different aluminum vendors. So Katie, you might be able to speak to that if you have any this year.
Yeah, I mean, our membership base is huge. If you want aluminum, I can send you a couple people if you want compost. A good example of something alternative to waste is reuse. So a good example in universities is the University of Washington. They are also a Pepsi school, and they were able to, whoever their Pepsi reps are, were able to create a reuse program at their school. So that's one option. I would just say if you are looking into alternative to plastic, do your research on like how much water it takes to create each of those materials, whether if you're going compostable or aluminum. And if you decide to go reuse, there's a water factor in that as well. But just do your research, and also you can talk to us. We can point you in a good direction for your budget and your geography, all that good stuff. I think you guys are seeing different questions than me. So some of those questions that you've said out loud, I don't see on my end, oddly enough. Oh, I guess Cal Berkeley did it for football games too. Thanks, Mika. I do see one last one. It's kind of about the marketing in terms of like when you guys have good success rates, you can show good charts and things like that. Does your campus help market it? Yeah.
Yeah, I can speak to that. So, we have a good relationship with our sustainability office, who has a sustainability newsletter. And so they'll put out any like announcements or impact reports, as well as like recruiting volunteers. That's how we get a lot of them. And we just partner with different departments like first year engineering to recruit volunteers. But yeah, to get the PR out, like we use LinkedIn, that big thing with the social media, like collaboration, we were able to partner with Pack Athletics to get it on their Instagram, which is going to be seen by, so many more fans than, NC State Recycles Instagram is going to see. So I think that was pretty good this year.
I think our marketing team has done a really nice job in athletics here. They really work hard to get that message out there. So hats off to our marketing team and our creative team.
Absolutely.
Yeah, here at UMD, I'd like to say, kind of echoing off of Bob, having our strategic comms department helping with the larger website, that was kind of the initiative behind it, is that, this great work is getting done. How are you sharing it? So the website was one resource. And then also, as Meredith had mentioned, Instagram, we've found countless times throughout our just office of sustainability that Instagram is such a unique way to reach students. It's kind of what they're using more than email and things like that these days, although we do maintain a newsletter as well. But I would say that Instagram has been a big help, and the collaboration feature, echoing off Meredith again, has been super helpful in getting that larger audience that athletics is able to reach. And then Wyatt, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I was going to say that for my role at UT or the Office of Sustainability specifically is around outreach, communications, community engagement. But this role has really only been around for the last year and a half, 2 years. So we're still trying to evaluate the most successful ways to promote and talk about what we do. We definitely use the same avenues that NC State and UMD use. But one thing we also do here at UT is we try to use our campus newspapers. We have a pretty big office of our communications group with several different types of media. So radio, We've done that. We've done written news stories. We've also done video features with the Ball Network. So that's the one thing that we really we've found successful is because they always need something to cover, just because they're studying the material. And in doing so, we kind of have like a mutual benefit in that way. So had a lot of awesome, great news stories written by the Daily Beacon in particular. But also Instagram has been a huge help as well as campus newsletters.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, this whole webinar is about collaboration. That's pretty much what we promote all the time is you have to get your own house in order before you really start to promote to fans, but it really takes a collaboration of athletics, sustainability, students, marketing. If everyone's on the same page is really how we can start spreading the message using our influence to spread the message and maybe behavior change. I know we're at time. Thank you so much, everybody. I put my email in the chat. If y'all want to speak to any of these folks, I'm happy to ask if they're open to it. And this webinar is recorded and will be live on YouTube and our website if you missed it and you want to go back and see it. Thank you again to our panelists. You guys did an awesome job. Hope to see you in Cleveland. All right.
Thank you guys.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.